Dina Kaplan, who is co-founder of Blip TV and operates as CEO and handles a lot of the operations, knows very deeply what's going on there. And we also have Steve Rosenbaum, who, like Dina, is an Emmy Award-winning journalist and is now the CEO and founder of Magnify. One of the first things I want to do is just ask you guys, what is the difference? What is Magnify.net? What is Blip TV, and how do you guys differ?
Would you like to go first,
You
ladies
can
first?
start, Steve.
So one of the things I think that people in the video space, when they're having a fantasy, the fantasy is, wouldn't it be great if everything was the same? Wouldn't it be great if there was one platform and one company and one solution? But the reality is, web video, like words on the web, are getting used in lots of different ways. So Magnify, what we do specifically, and I think better than anyone else, is video channel creation around aggregation. And so today we have 65,000 channels on the service. Many of them are professional, some of them are amateur, some of them are hobbyists, some of them are businesses. But by way of example, if you look at New York Magazine, and you look at the videos on New York Magazine, you'll see that they are making 3 terrific videos a week, or 5 terrific videos a week. But they're offering to their readers hundreds of videos a week that are aggregated from YouTube, Rever, Blip, Dailymotion, MetaCafe, lots of places. And then their editors are finding them, organizing them, categorizing them, and providing value. So someone who might go to Blip to watch a show, but might not necessarily go to New York Magazine, will now potentially find a video and go, hey, here's something else that's New York-centric and also in context. And so, as opposed to some of the other player companies, we really focus on upload, encode, store, and more importantly, aggregation.
Okay.
That was very succinctly done. He set the standard
All right.
very high. So Blip is the next generation TV network. What we do is we host and distribute and then monetize all the best original TV shows that are being created for the web. So we have about 50,000 original shows, and it's everything from a guy in his garage doing a great show about woodworking, and that show actually exists, and it's called The Wood Whisperer, all the way up to Michael Eisner, who is now producing 5 to 20 really highly produced scripted sitcoms and dramas, shows that you could imagine being on television. But these are all original web shows. And what these folks need, the content creators, is really 3 things, so that they can focus on what they're best at, which is creating great content. They need hosting, just bandwidth, servers, a player, the whole back end to creating a really successful web show. The second thing they need is distribution. We have this belief that shows have a total potential audience. As Steve would agree, it's never going to be found on one site. So with Blip, we let content creators just check off boxes next to, I want to syndicate to YouTube, to MSN, to AOL, to iTunes, to the TV set through Roku, Boxy, Fios, etc. We've done all of those distribution deals that lets our content creator syndicate their content everywhere that video is seen, on the internet and on the TV set. And then the third thing, near and dear to all of our hearts, is monetization. Everyone needs to make money. So what we will do is aggregate together shows along a certain vertical, shows that would be interesting to moms or interesting to people who like sports, fashion, beauty, whatever it is. And we'll sell that vertical, custom vertical of content to an advertiser and run media on that entire vertical, giving to the advertiser both a really focused set of shows to advertise on, say all shows that are interesting to moms, but also the reach that they need. If they need 20 million views or if they need 25 million views in order to make this ad buy worth it, we can give them that number of views and let them not waste a single impression.
So let me remind folks that if you have a question for Steve, we actually have a question for Dina already, but if you have more questions, the way we're taking them right now is over Twitter and put #NakedMedia. And we'll see it here. Let me ask you, Steve. One of the things you talked about was aggregation. Huffington Post has taken a few knocks for taking other people's content and putting it together. People have mixed feelings about this. You've written a lot about being a curator, being an aggregator. So, what do you say to someone who has some level of discomfort with this idea that, New York Magazine or whoever is taking this stuff and putting it on their page and their, frame, umbrella, rubric, whatever you want to call it?
So you have to take a step back and look at the history of the web. I mean, Google essentially does that very thing. I mean, Naked Media is indexed by Google, and if I type in, media experts video, I'm likely to find a link. And there's going to be an ad on that page, which you're not going to participate in. Google's going to sell it to somebody, and they're going to get paid. And there's been this question over time of how much can they put on there? And at what point does it go from being an indexing service and a pointer service to them taking too much value? And there have been some court cases around photos and around images where the line's drawn. One of the things I think that gets lost in this debate is if you're the New York Times and you don't want to be on Huffington Post, that's one phone call. You pick up the phone, you call Ariana and say, listen, we don't want to be indexed by you. And she will say in her voice, which I won't try and imitate, fine. Right now there's this little bit of a shouting match going on between, the folks at Fox and Google about whether or not they want their material to be indexed.
News Corp, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Fox,
really
yeah.
interesting. Now, I would bet, and I'll say it here today, I would bet that they will do a deal with Bing and that they will take some amount of their content out of the Google index. And the history of this.
So just to fill folks in, I mean, we
Yeah.
actually joked about this in the opening segment, which you may not have seen, but the idea is that the Microsoft search engine Bing has allegedly, reportedly, and probably confirmed, offered News Corp, which has the Wall Street Journal and Barron's and Fox and a whole bunch of other stuff. Bing has offered News Corp some amount of money to de-index some or all of its content from Google and instead use the Bing search engine, and this would be a big deal because then people, if they searched Google, wouldn't find the stuff, but they would find it if they searched on Bing.
And just one more little piece of history. If you go back to the late 90s, there was a moment when the comparison shopping engines showed up. And all the e-tailers said, wait a minute, we don't want to just be a price. Get us off of that comparison shopping engine. And the comparison shopping engine said, okay, off you go. Well, now you're invisible. And so this dynamic has been going on for a long time, which is, what's the balance between aggregation and links and pointers and when you're taking too much value? And what I would argue is it's a little too early. I had a content owner say to me the other day, I'd like to get 20% of what you earn off my content. And I said, all right, well, as of today, that's about 6 cents. So it seems to me that if that gets to be a real number and you become valuable to us, then over time, there's, if some of Dina's shows are being delivered to an aggregation partner and generating real revenue, she has two choices. She can put an ad in that stream and take 100% of the revenue for her partners, which is currently the state of play in the aggregation business, which is, the distributors own the player and the aggregators own the page is kind of that's the current moment. But I think we all expect that will change over time as the value starts
Change
to get.
how?
At the end of the day, we're all trying to figure out how to get Madison Avenue to get excited about putting more money into our collective space. And, if we believe that TV has some real challenges and newspapers have some real challenges and magazine and radio have some real challenges, that probably says over time that there's a bunch of revenue that is going to need a place to go. Much easier to have a conversation with partners when you're talking about how to split up $100 as opposed to how to split up 6 cents.
Okay.
So I think that we're all expecting that the rules will change over time and that they'll continue to be equitable. But nobody, I don't believe that Ariana is getting rich indexing, New York Times content today.
We should be clear, search is changing. Search will change as dramatically in 2010 as the video landscape has changed in the last few years. And in the end, what we're used to seeing on the web, and Steve is right, things are changing a lot, is going to destination sites. And let's be clear, for most of the content creators who are accepted to join the Huffington Post, that's a traffic host for them. And that's something they will welcome, so the Huffington Post has smart link backs
I just
to
mentioned
them.
Huffington Post as a sort of an example, maybe I hope not an apocryphal example, but I just used it to sort of help frame the discussion.
Yeah.
But Blip TV, you've got shows, you have absolutely no qualms about that entire show appearing in someone else's frame or aegis or whatever.
Well, I would make it much stronger than that. Blip TV is not a destination site, and we don't want to be a destination site. Right now, we have 81 million video views a month. 3.7% of those views are on Blip, and we hope that percentage goes down. Essentially, the only reason that people would go to blip.tv would be to click upload their videos, enter the metadata in, and then check off the boxes of where they want their videos to go, whether it's Magnify, iTunes, Fios, YouTube, or the Huffington Post, or wherever else. How we are consuming content is in the midst of changing. And I actually believe that, whereas you might be used to going to MSN, going to Yahoo, going to Google, where a lot of this information is going to get pulled to us. And we'll have all sorts of variety of RSS readers. And we will just have different, geeks do this now, right? Where people have RSS feeds that they'll subscribe to. This will become mainstream. And so what does this mean in the end? Steve is right. What we consider it is our embassy within someone else's country. We monetize within the embassy. They can monetize with banner ads or however they want in the country. But the goal is to get your content everywhere that people are looking at content, and the more eyeballs, the better, the more revenue for everyone.
But what happens when somebody figures out a way? So right now you serve your video, you put an ad at the front of it. That's how you make money.
Pre-roll or overlay or post-roll, you sometimes do some brand integration. But yes, the monetization all has to take place within the video player.
Within the actual playing video, streaming video, whatever you want to call it. New York Magazine takes that video, puts it on their page, puts other ads around it.
Exactly.
A different environment. That, or maybe it's not New York Magazine. Maybe it's something.
Huffington Post, maybe.
Or maybe a pornographic magazine or something.
Well, I mean, you have to be careful about who you do a deal with, because these are the conversations
but if you don't,
that...
But somebody may not have done a deal with you. They may just use it.
A re-embeddable player. I mean, you do want to make your players embeddable. That is clear. But you do want to be careful about who you do your syndication deals with.
So to be clear, I mean, so Magnify's role is we wear a big white hat in this. We look at public APIs that are open to us, and if you go to a video, for example, on YouTube and say, don't share, it immediately comes off of anybody who's not scraping the web. And scraping is different than being part of the syndication ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing I guess that I would just say for your viewers, Dina and I have both been at this long enough that this wasn't a foregone conclusion where we're sitting today.
Right.
I mean, there were a bunch of other scenarios that would have been a lot less interesting, in which the world got narrower, distribution got closed down, pipes got, and we would have not been able to sit here being as excited about 2010 as I think we both are.
We could have all been destination sites, but that's clearly not where things are going on the web, and certainly not where they're
you
going
said
on
to
video.
me, we chatted on the phone before this, and you said to me, if you were, that if I had said to you, are you 100% sure that aggregation and program length content will work on the web? You might not have said yes a year ago. That you might not have been sure about.
I mean, part of what happens when you start companies is, you create a vision of where you think the world's going, and you try and get there first. And if you look at the guys that were all near YouTube, a bunch of people did things that weren't wildly dissimilar, and they either got the timing wrong, or they got the product wrong, or they got the technology wrong, and they didn't win. Those guys got the timing, the product, and the vibe right, and they won. And so for both Dina and I and some other, there's a bunch of other interesting companies in the space, and we're all, I think, playing relatively nicely together. I mean, there aren't many companies that have this kind of winner-takes-all worldview that says, I'm going to dominate the world of web video, and all of you others are going to go out of business. It's just too big a space, and there's too much work to be done.
Yeah, I mean, we see ourselves as a platform play, and we are absolutely rooting, cheering, and hoping for and contributing, we hope, to the success of the other players in this world. For Blip, the three legs of the stool that holds us up are our content creators. We all want them to be wildly successful. Those are the people who are bringing us all of the great videos that we syndicate everywhere. That was the first step. We need advertisers to monetize that content, and we need distributors, because we're not a destination site. So a lot of people view the video ecosystem as being a zero-sum game, and it's actually the exact opposite of that.
I'm sorry, what is a zero-sum game?
It's the opposite of a zero-sum game. We are all part of an ecosystem.
Right.
All of us need great content. We need advertisers to work with. We need a lot of eyeballs on content, whether it's on New York Times, New York Magazine, Huffington Post, MSN, wherever it is. And all of these aspects of the ecosystem interrelate.
Right, or what Ariana Huffington calls the link economy. But
nicely done. I'm glad I haven't done that.
A little like Arnold, though. You have to be careful.
All right, I'm sorry. I apologize. The wannabe governor of California versus the actual governor of California. But
there's something there, isn't there?
There is. But the question I have, though, is in this so-called link economy, don't we end up in a situation potentially where everything becomes so diffuse and so spread that the ability to charge advertisers a price goes down, and you see yourself with constant downward pressure and constant commodification, no barriers to entry. I'm not doubting that there may be a business model there, but playing devil's advocate, I'm saying maybe the business model is maybe the business model become continually diluted.
So it's exactly the opposite. Let me actually be really clear about this.
Yeah.
What is happening, and I'll speak specifically to video. What's happening is you have a premium bucket of content and you have a non-premium bucket of content. And you are 100% right that there is incredible downward-facing CPM pressure on the non-premium inventory. What's in fact happened, though, on the premium inventory is the exact opposite. Now, I'm not going to say it's skyrocketing, but CPMs on premium video are actually slightly rising now. And here's why. There is premium content out there. There's Hulu, which offers obviously just great shows from all of the networks, clearly. You have Blip TV shows where we only run ads on content that has been categorized and rated by our content team. We are talking about warm bodies sitting in our content department. And there's I don't want to say a limited number, but a relatively limited number of impressions of premium video content that's available to carry dynamically served advertisements. And because of that, that's a commodity. That's something that is very valuable to advertisers. So right now, as I'm sitting here at this moment, we are working with Scion, we're working with Chevy, we're working with Nikon, with Canon, with Best Buy. I could go on and on.
Did they pay you for those product placements here just now?
No, they're paying for other things which are more valuable, which is to the content creators for advertising on their content. And what we're seeing is incredible engagement rates, because with web video, you're leaning forward, you're clicking play, you're engaging in that content, you found this show that you've connected with, and you're seeing the ad. If it's a pre-roll, if it's an overlay, it's there right in front of you, and the engagement has been very,
Right, so
very successful.
what's an actual number? You know, how much you said rates are going up a little bit.
Oh my, are you putting me on the spot? I'd like to hear what Steve says about that.
The number I'm hearing on the street, but I won't quote it back to any of our clients or necessarily hers, is between $35 and $40 CPMs.
CPMs. All right.
For premium?
Yeah,
This is for premium.
Okay,
Yeah.
admittedly, I will say that you will get that on product integration, not necessarily on media. We're mostly selling media and guaranteeing views to advertisers.
Okay.
But and we've been on the record in saying that CPMs will be between $10 to $20.
Okay. So let's say let's presume that that's a show. Do we have the ability to show Nostalgia Critic for a sec?
Oh, great.
So this you said recently, we were on a panel together, and you said that this show, Nostalgia Critic, so let's assume that this is a $10 to $20 CPM. And you said, I believe, that this is your most...
By the way, for the record, as I said earlier, we're not selling specific shows necessarily. We can do that. More often we'll sell verticals of content, or we'll sell run-off
So what
network.
vertical is Nostalgia Critic?
Nostalgia Critic, well, I mean, we do custom verticals. So if someone's looking, if a film wants to reach people who are interested in entertainment, Nostalgia Critic would fit. It also just falls within our safe content.
So-
it's carrying, if you click on it, you'll see it's carrying a number of ad campaigns right now.
So Nostalgia Critic, we it's rolling right now, but they can hear our voices. Okay, so the show is running, and basically, you said this is the most popular show that Blip TV has.
This is one of our top shows out of the 50,000. And if for anyone that's out there watching, you'll smile because this is not our most highly produced show, to say the least.
So you guys can see the video, but you can't hear what he's saying. And basically, what it is it's one guy in front of a camera doing sort of parodies of movies and TV shows and stuff like that from, I guess, all the 1980s, right?
Really parodies, homages, shall we say.
I'm sorry, paying homage by making lots of sounds with his mouth and hand movements and occasionally clips from the shows. Like he did a 1 or 2 minute version of the Transformers that I saw that was kind of funny, and he's doing sort of bad animation. The current show is something about a bad animated TV show that I'm not really that aware of, but the point is, you've got one guy who looks like he's in front of a webcam, maybe he's a computer cam, doing stuff, and you say how many views? Or
this show gets between
uniques?
2 to 3 million views a month, and it's all organic traffic. We don't do any of that autoplays. There's actually 2 to 3 actual downloaded streams of this.
And who's watching this stuff?
He has a really hardcore fan base. The engagement rates we get when advertisers advertise on this show are phenomenal. For whatever reason, this guy was very charismatic. He knows his stuff. He's gone after a niche of people that are really interested, excited by, that feeling of nostalgia for 80s pop culture. And he just owns that audience.
And what's the secret? I mean, what's
The secret is being authentic, and Steve will tell you the same thing. The content is different on the web than it is on television. People have this close relationship with the show host. They probably follow their Twitter feed, they read their text blog, they're also watching their video show. So what this guy's been able to do, by the way, you say he's in front of a webcam, the guy that produces the show used to work at Circuit City, got laid off, of course, and they now rent out the old Circuit City office where he used to work. So this is actually in an
What's
old
his
Circuit
name?
City.
Do you remember?
The host of the show, it's different from the producer and the host, and there's a little bit of a team, to be honest.
Okay.
It's a little bit of a team, to be honest, but not a large team, and they are full time on
How
this.
many
And we're
people
supporting
is it?
them by advertising. These guys are kind of brilliant in many ways. They're the new media mogul. They have a set of about 18 shows, and they're constantly trolling the web. I use that in a positive way to find new scouring. They're hunting for talent and bringing more and more shows into their fold. But he will make 6 figures or more just from his sponsorship this year.
You're saying this
team, yeah.
This team will make,
yeah.
and that's low 6 figures or high 6 figures?
It's low 6 figures, but if you think about how early we are in the medium of web video and how not one single advertiser is sponsoring this show, it's all through run of network advertising, that's pretty exciting.
Do you know how large? Sorry. Do you know how large the team is?
It is a producer, a host, and they have a couple other people that are sort of scouring for talent. So I don't have the exact number, but it's a few people.
4 or
it's not
5.
more than 10. Yeah.
Maybe 10. Okay.
No, not more than 10.
Yeah, and so all right. Well, and then that's one show that they're making the 6 figures, and then they've got.
The other shows are also doing really well. They have a show called Rooster Teeth. They have a whole slew of shows, and we're cutting checks to these guys that are 5-figure checks for many of these shows every quarter.
So and Steve, you were going to say something.
No, just think about how mind-blowing what Dina just told us is. So they're building a network. They have 18 shows. Some of them are going to succeed, some are going to fail. They're going to put them through Blip. They're going to find their way to all kinds of different places in the world.
True.
Some are going to end up being mobile hits. Some are going to end up being Xbox hits. Some are going to end up on Boxy. Some are going to end up on Magnify.
Yep.
Some of them are going to fail. And they're going to say, okay, pull that one out and try again.
Yep.
But that's the future of distribution. And it's exciting as hell. I mean, if, by the way, confusing and baffling and requires a lot of work. I mean, learning this stuff is not easy.
Right.
There's no silver bullet that says you put your show in here and it magically appears on the web. But the idea that
Well, that's not true.
individual...
If you put your show on the internet, it does magically appear on the
Yeah,
web.
right.
It's not necessarily a hit.
Right. I'll tell you the Magnify version of their story. So our number one site right now is SusanBoyle.com. Susan-Boyle.com is the number one fan site for Susan Boyle, and it's powered by Magnify.
And just for those few of you where the name doesn't ring a bell,
Oh, come
this
on.
is.
Come on.
Does everybody
come
know
on.
Susan Boyle?
Yeah,
is there
they-
anybody who
Yes,
doesn't know?
yes.
All right, all right.
My grandmother knows who Susan
Everybody
Boyle
knows
is.
Susan Boyle.
So SusanBoyle.com shows up on the Magnify network.
For a while, to me, she was just that British woman who won the
Yeah,
talent
and
show.
everyone thought that's what she was going to be. Turns out
Okay.
she's sold
Right.
700,000 CDs in the last 3
Yeah.
weeks. So the site shows up 4 or 5 months ago, and the numbers just start going like this. And so we email the site administrator and say, kind of, who are you, and do you work with Susan? Turns out that this entire site, which is gorgeous and well laid out and well curated and very passionate, is run by an out-of-work construction worker in London. Single guy. Built it on a weekend, manages it. They have today 40,000 registered users. They're doing 500,000 page views a day. And when you look at the testimonial videos that all these people record for her, to your point about the personal relationship, you kind of just hold your breath because it's so passionate.
Yes.
She is connected with people in such a human way. And if I were a mainstream network television executive, I would look at that and go, how do I replicate that?
Right.
How do I authenticity?
Yes.
The thing about authenticity is you can't fake it. You can't say, oh, go hire me some authentic people. I mean, the people that love Susan Boyle and are part of that community are there for, they're so passionate and they're so deeply committed to her and what she stands for. And she stands for kind of anti-media. I mean, really what she stands for is,
Sure.
A person that the celebrity culture would have thrown away and instead got
Right.
love.
So we don't have a clip of the show, but describe what exactly is on the page and what has this construction worker assembled.
So it's hundreds and hundreds of videos. Some of them are off-air clips from Britain's Got Talent and her various media appearances. But lots of them are kind of testimonials, tribute videos made by fans and put up on this site. And there's this one woman who I'll never forget. She gives about a 4-minute soliloquy about watching Susan Boyle sing changed her life, and she cries. And she's a average Midwestern housewife who just needed to see somebody with talent and without the packaging of the media ecosystem succeed.
And so the thing that makes this a success is that the construct. Do you know what platform he built this beautiful site on?
Yeah, it's built on Magnify. He built.
So he took the time. So it's built on Magnify completely. All the.
So one of the things we offer is a whole set of kind of web admin tools, so page layout and design and all that stuff.
So the thing that makes this stand out is nothing unique except sort of the time and effort that this person put in to make it and aggregate it.
He's never made a video. And that, I think, is maybe the distinction between the way Magnify sees the world and the way Blip sees the world, which is that most of our customers aren't makers. I mean, maybe they make a video or two, but mostly they're gatherers and organizers. And we call it the curation economy. And we think that as the web gets noisier, and to Dina's point earlier about search, I mean, we're about to see this explosion in live search, which is both exciting and a little daunting because I can barely stand the amount of information that's coming at me. So part of what I think starts to happen is you say, I'm going to pick 5 people to filter the world for me. I'm going to see fashion through the eyes of this curator, and I'm going to see politics through this person. And those, we might have called them portals in an earlier day. But they're people.
They're like recommendation engines, circa 2010.
Have you ever heard from Susan Boyle or her people? Or I don't know if she has people, but
she has people.
Do we know if Susan Boyle has any feelings about this show or channel?
Somebody from her agency reached out to Paul Wood, the site creator, and said, "We want to buy the site." And he said, "Well, I really love running it, so I'd like to come run it for you." And they said, "No, we're just going to shut it down.
Oh, that's
we want to own the URL because it's #1 in Google." And he called me and said, "I don't know what to do." And I said, "Well, do you need the money?" And he said, "Well, I need the money, but I think I want to run this." And the nature of fan sites is you really can't shut them down. I mean. And so he said, "I feel an obligation to these people. I've worked really hard." And so he told them no. And he went back to running it.
So we do have a user question, and I am being reminded to say that you don't have to send your questions only through Twitter. We only have a couple minutes left, but you don't have to send them just through Twitter. You can also send them through the chat function on the video player, the new scribemedia.org video player. But Dina, question from the audience. How is it that Blip TV is beating Google and Yahoo at their own game? And maybe you can frame the question to say. I mean, my question might have been, what is Blip TV as different from YouTube or something like that? But the user asks this question. What is it that?
So Google has done just an amazing job of aggregating all sorts of data about everything, about links, about behavior, about locations people are searching for, on and on and on. They have a lot of video on YouTube. I love what the statistics are. What is it? 33 hours of video uploaded every minute along those lines. It is essentially impossible for them to have with their content creators the relationship that say NBC will have with its content creators. What Blip is we're basically like a TV network on the web and for the web. So look, we have 50,000 shows on Blip. We don't know every single one of them, but for our top shows, we are in constant touch with them, and we have the relationship with them that would be more similar to the relationship an NBC or CBS would have with its top content creators than Google could have with the 33 hours, the people that are producing those 33 hours. So I'd say that's how it is different. But we need Google, and we need Yahoo, and we need Magnify because we're not a destination site. Okay. So we're the network. They would be more like our MSO. Now Yahoo
MSO being the cable
right,
company,
exactly.
Cable TV company.
So Yahoo is a little bit different because they're changing their model to be more focused on entertainment. And video, we're excited, will be a very big component of that. So both Google through YouTube and Yahoo through a whole bunch of different properties will be great places for people to find and watch and enjoy Blip content. And we are very excited to send them all of our content, but then also to send them a targeted, say, sort of more similar to what Steve is doing. We can send them 5 shows that will be really interesting to women who are 18 to 22 years old interested in beauty.
Okay.
And send that to the relevant sites.
So then this may end up being our last question, depending on what kind of signal I get from Peter over in the corner. But you alluded to this. I mean, you talked about if I were a TV network, I would be wondering how to do this. Yeah. Flipping the question on its head, if I were a TV network, I might be saying, holy moly, how do I support my current cost structure? Because the ads on your channel that I've seen are some pretty serious brand advertisers.
Oh, yeah.
Major car companies, major consumer electronics companies, and the ones you mentioned before. So I'm, I don't know. What do you say to both a marketer and a TV company if you're saying, A, do I just place my dollars in Blip and forget about network TV, or B, is there still a place? I mean, is just this basically a place where the advertising is just going to just have to come down on broadcast TV and the Hulus of the world and move in because you guys have a cost structure that's just so much less?
So you lumped a couple things together.
I did.
Yeah.
So
let's pull broadcast out.
I'm kind of rushing because we're getting to the end of the show.
Let's pull broadcast out to the side because it's got its own set of economic problems that are baffling. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Comcast for a minute, because I think that Comcast signals a very good step for all of us in the ecosystem. And the reason for that is that there's been this battle about whether or not it's all going to be TV everywhere versus over the top. And over the top is all the news sources getting to your living room. And TV everywhere is kind of a closed, walled garden. You pay one price and you get all the services you already got from cable only on your laptop. I think the Comcast deal assures us that over the top and TV everywhere have to play nice.
That who?
That the two mechanisms have to play well. I don't think the FCC will allow Comcast, as a buyer of NBC, to say, once you get NBC, we're going to close the garden and not let Blip TV into your living room. I think that horse is left to
And in
water.
fact, they're doing the exact opposite as we're seeing right now.
Well, that's what they say. But
Right.
let me just back up for a second. Describe what TV everywhere is for a second. By the way, I parodied it in one of my Shallow Thoughts a couple episodes ago, if you want to look it up. But because there are confusing things about this idea. And what the idea is that if you're a Comcast, as from a consumer perspective, if you're a Comcast subscriber, you can watch the Comcast TV shows, any shows you get through the Comcast cable TV system. You can watch not just on your TV, but also on your computer, anywhere you are, by using whatever Comcast password or whatever you have. So that's TV Everywhere, which I gather is now going to be renamed Xfinity or something like that. So, but that's a very different model from this kind of link economy that you were describing before, Steve. I mean, what Comcast is doing there is they're going to buy control and make you pay to access their stuff in their limited universe. And that means that you, as you told me, living on the Upper West Side, or I living farther downtown, can't get it because we don't have Comcast. Right. So it's a very different world and a very different model.
But here's the thing that I think is exciting for us. When you look at all the shows on Blip, for example, my guess is that 95% of them don't interest me. But 5% really do. Mm-hmm. And so when you start talking to people about niches, you look at them, who watches a knitting show? And my wife goes, oh, I do. And somebody says rock climbing. Why would anyone watch fly fishing? Why would anyone watch fly fishing? Well, guess what? People love watching fly fishing. So once you connect to someone's passion point, they're never going to let you not put that programming in their living room. And so at the end of the day, these big media companies, the walled garden era, I would argue, ended, presuming that the Comcast NBC deal closes.
But I would rather pay just for Hannah Montana, or just for, I have children. I'd rather pay just for Hannah Montana or just for iCarly, and not have to pay for the knitting channel and everything else I'm paying by paying my, whatever it is, $80, $100 a month that I'm paying for.
But they're never, a la carte is never going to happen because they're giving away too much money. Mm-hmm. I mean, they want to control cash flow. They want to know that every month they get $100 from you. Right. But I think the thing that's exciting and where this all starts to come together, I mean, I was at an event Monday night in Brooklyn for the launch of the new Boxy app, and great energy there. Like just all this entrepreneurial energy about television and about distribution.
So Boxy has come out. Boxy, which we had Avner Ronan, the CEO, on the show, and Boxy is a company that lets you aggregate and look at and watch web videos seamlessly, and they've just come out with a new box.
Yep.
Well, they've come out with the promise of a set-top box, which will let you do all this stuff on your TV very easily. Which, by the way, I brought this. I do now through this, which is a $20 cable that I plug into my computer. So, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I
But-
plug it into my DVD player, and it's.
But-
That's your Roku or your
This is
Boxy.
my Roku or my
But
Boxy.
you know, because we're running out of time, the thing I just didn't want to lose is this thing we started down the path, which is, do the things that Dina and I started 3 years ago start to look like you can really see a business at the end of the tunnel? And the answer is yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't
It's
true.
happening.
Wasn't true 24 months ago. 24 months ago, people were betting on Dina and I and Mike because they said, you know, smart guys, they're working hard, they'll figure it out. And now it's much easier to talk to investors and say, listen, this is where the money flows. This is where
Well, and
audiences
this is
are
where the
going.
eyeballs are,
Yeah.
by the way, and this is where people are engaged. And most importantly, you can target your campaign to only people who are interested in the product that you have to sell them, and at this point, you can get reach.
Okay, so you guys are profitable?
We've beat our Q4 projections this summer, looking towards this summer, and that's even on our internal numbers. And the budgets are shifting. It's not a lot, but look, you have some fraction of the television budgets move over to web video, and that makes the world of difference because our margins are a lot easier, much lower production costs on content that's produced for the web. So the path is absolutely there, and the economics do work out.
You're going to be cash flow positive by the summer.
That's what we're looking at according to the internal numbers.
Knock wood. Steve?
It's funny, our numbers, we must have traded numbers before the show. I mean, we're looking at mid next year at the latest. And listen, 2009 was a tough economic year. And those of us who are still standing and who did well and who hit their numbers in 2009, I don't think 2010 is going to be a walk in the park, but I think at least when you go in and talk to people about what we do, they don't look at you and scratch their head and go, what? What's curation? What's that?
Well, and you're also not telling them, we think you should have a web video budget, because they have web video budgets now. And look, we have Hulu to thank for that. They've been very helpful on the market. I mean, when you're talking auto, you're talking consumer packaged goods, you're talking
you mean
the serious
them being
advertisers
marketers.
with serious
I see.
budgets
Gotcha,
behind
gotcha.
them. Yeah. You're not asking, please squeak
Right.
out some web
Right,
video budget
right.
from search or display or from television. Now they do have web video
Right,
budgets,
and
and
they're
you're just saying,
looking for a place to put it.
give us a bit of a slice of that, and it is happening.
So anything you guys are working on for 2010 that coming up that you can tell us about now?
Boy, that's a trick question. Lots, but not anything that I'm prepared to put on the table.
Okay.
I'll give you something. We want to be on half of U.S. televisions by the end of 2011. So in 2010, you will see us be up and running and available on many more U.S. television sets
Wow.
than today.
How? Through what mechanism?
Through every mechanism you could. I mean, we want to syndicate content everywhere the eyeballs are.
Not through my $20
We've done the Roku.
cable.
Oh yeah, we're available through that. That works. You can hack away at your PlayStation and make it work. We're on Roku. We're on Boxy. We're on Fios. We're on TiVo, and we will be making some nice announcements about additional avenues to the U.S. TV set in the
Great.
next 6 months.
Thank you. Please let us know early when you're ready to talk about it. And Steve,
Early and
likewise,
often.
likewise, we'd love to know too. Thank you very much. This
Appreciate
has
it.
been great. It can go on forever. You guys are both available on Twitter, and I'm sure people can send you questions there.
At Magnify.
At Magnify and
At Blip TV.
so you're not at Dina Kaplan.
Well, I'm at both. So you can do
Okay.
at Dina Kaplan or at Blip TV.
Okay. And once again, this is Dina Kaplan and Steve Rosenbaum. Magnify, Blip TV, Dorian Ben Coyle with Naked Media. Thank you so much for watching. Keep following us on the web and watch the shows on demand as well.